Alrighty, Venturoos, we're back at it, giving you my pitch for what I think would be a really good idea to run with. So I've already set you up with my thoughts and opinions about Scare Bear and my opinions about Dean and his compassion level. He's always, like I think about the precogs, or I think about how just Dean acts in general. He asks Watch and Ward what happened to their eye, and just is very caring. A very caring version of this Dean has been created. You can see from like D19 that they don't all have the same personality, and this specific Dean has a very big amount of compassion. He goes through an emotional growth. I think that he'd be a great character to pitch as some kind of super scientist superhero. And I think that his powers could be based off of the fact that he had those biobots sitting inside of him still, and they were residual. I think that they somehow created some kind of factory inside of him, and he keeps making biobots. So then he has access to those, and then has to eventually come up with the super science of how he can control those, use them to his advantage, and eventually create a whole fucking silver suit like the Silver Surfer out of the biobots around his whole body. I think that'd be really cool. I think that at that point also Hank could become a superhero and potentially get picked up by my thought process. Get ready for it. I think that we should call Scare Bear D2, and I think it should be a Dean clone that got really upset when the Bobby St. Simone stuff went down. Hank did react very Hank-like and did not take it as big and, as whatever to him, and that really irritated what I will be calling D2. D2 gets really pissed and in a fit of rage kills Hank, feels great regret for it, moves to New York, starts using drugs, gets hooked up with Wes Warhammer, has this experience of basically feeling like he's on this high, and then eventually Wes drops him. He starts using drugs, getting obsessed with super science, following Dean around. I think at one point maybe he steals some of the biobots and then also has access to them. I think at some point those biobots then also move over in Dean's sleep and get onto Hank somehow. Perhaps maybe when Dean is crying in his crying in the hospital room, maybe he could do that, and the biobots got onto Hank somehow, and that's how Scare Bear was able to track him, is through the biobots. And that's also how he knew where Dean was, is because of the biobot tracking. And they all are kind of linked at that point. And then you could have D2 go off on this arc of getting clean and basically talking about the problems of addiction and super science, and how it feels to be Scare Bear and not being Scare Bear anymore.